Pay attention to the woman entering the lobby at 10:30 p.m. At 10:42 p.m. on Tuesday, November 14, 2017, a security camera in the lobby of the Northbridge Apartments captured a woman stepping out of the elevator on the 7th floor. She adjusted the strap of her canvas tote, paused to check her phone, and turned left toward the corridor that led to apartment 7F. The hallway camera did not record her entering her unit. There is no footage of her knocking. There is no footage of her turning back. The next image of her appears nowhere. The woman was 32-year-old Alina Mercer. She was declared missing 12 hours later. The building sat on Crescent Avenue in Westfield, a mid-sized city with a commuter rail line and a hospital complex nearby. It was a cold night, 39 degrees, with intermittent rain that left the sidewalk slick and reflective. The lobby camera time-stamped is precise. The elevator doors open at 10:41:58 p.m. Alina steps into view at 10:42:06. She exits frame at 10:42:19. The obvious explanation arrived quickly. People assumed she had entered her apartment and something happened inside. A fall, a medical emergency, a private tragedy. Investigators would challenge that within hours. At 6:18 a.m. the following morning, a maintenance worker reported a purse found behind the trash compactor in the underground garage. Inside were Alina's driver's license, a debit card, and her apartment key fob. There was no phone. Police arrived at 6:41 a.m. The garage was sealed by 7:05. The purse placement did not make sense. Residents accessed the garage by key fob only. Alina's fob showed one entry the night before, at 7:02 p.m. when she returned from work. There were no later garage entries under her ID. Someone else had brought the purse down. They don't know this yet, but the cameras would tell them exactly when. Alina Mercer grew up in a small town 90 miles north of Westfield. She studied environmental science, then shifted to data analytics after discovering a talent for pattern recognition. By 2017, she worked for a regional utility company, building models to predict equipment failure. Her job was quiet. Her performance reviews were consistent. She had no disciplinary issues and no known enemies. Her routine was ordinary and precise. She woke at 6:10 a.m., ran 3 miles on the river path 3 mornings a week, and took the 7:52 train on the other 2. She shopped on Sundays. She called her mother every Thursday. She paid rent early. On the night she disappeared, Alina left the office at 6:11 p.m. She stopped at a grocery store near the station, buying soup, bread, and oranges. Her card transaction posted at 6:36. She boarded the 6:52 train and arrived in Westfield at 7:01. The garage camera shows her car entering at 7:02:14 p.m. She carried 2 bags upstairs and unlocked her door at 7:06. The hallway camera shows her inside her apartment at 7:06:29. She did not leave again until 10:42. At 9:58 p.m., she sent a text to her sister, "Home, tired, talk tomorrow." The message was delivered. It was never read. Investigators canvassed the floor. Apartment 7F was intact, no sign of a struggle, no blood. The soup sat unopened in the refrigerator. The oranges were still in the bag by the door. Her laptop was open on the table, screen dark, power cord plugged in. The bed was made. The building had cameras at each elevator bank and at both stairwells. There was a blind spot between the left turn from the elevator and the first door, a stretch of about 12 feet. The obvious explanation shifted. She had not made it to her apartment. She vanished in that gap. Key relationships emerged quickly. Alina had recently ended a long relationship with a man named Evan Rourke, 35, a project manager in commercial construction. They dated for nearly 4 years and broke up in August. Friends described the separation as tense but civil. Evan moved out of Alina's apartment in September. He retained no keys. There was also a co-worker, Daniel Hugh, who sat 2 desks away and had asked Alina out in October. She declined. He accepted the refusal, at least outwardly. Police interviewed Evan on November 15 at 2:20 p.m. He said he was at home the night before, watching television. His phone records placed him in his apartment from 8:10 p.m. onward. He offered consent to search. Nothing incriminating was found. Daniel Hugh was interviewed the same day at 4:05 p.m. He had been at a gym until 9:30 p.m. and then at a bar with friends. Receipts corroborated the timeline. He was eliminated. They don't know this yet, but the motive would not be romantic. The first break came from a review of financial records. In late October, Alina had filed an internal complaint at work. She reported irregularities in a vendor contract, small overcharges that repeated across months. The amounts were minor individually. Together, they totaled $118,000. The vendor was Northbridge Facilities Management, the company that serviced her building. The complaint was logged on October 27th at 10:40 p.m. Ives logged into the camera system from a terminal in the basement office. He disabled motion alerts on the 7th floor hallway camera for 10 minutes. The system recorded the change. It did not notify central monitoring. At 10:41:58 p.m., the elevator doors opened. At 10:42:06 p.m., Alina stepped out. At 10:42:19 p.m., she exited frame. At 10:42:21 p.m., the stairwell camera recorded a shadow moving upward from the 6th floor. The image is indistinct. The timestamp is clear. At 10:43:43 p.m., the motion alert was re-enabled. The crime itself lasted less than 2 minutes. Investigators reconstructed the sequence. Ives waited in the stairwell just beyond the blind spot. He carried a nylon strap, the kind used to secure ladders. When Alina turned left, he stepped forward, looped the strap, and pulled. There was no scream captured by any microphone. The hallway absorbed sound. He applied pressure until she lost consciousness. He did not wait. He dragged her body into the stairwell and down to the garage, using the service stairs that bypassed the elevator. The stairwell camera captured movement at 10:44:12 p.m. A figure passed carrying something bulky. The camera angle did not show faces. At 10:46:05 p.m., the garage camera recorded the van backing into a space near the compactor. At 10:49:32, it exited. They don't know this yet, but he made a mistake. The investigation widened. Detectives obtained warrants for Northbridge Facilities Management records. They pulled camera logs. They pulled access logs. They noticed the 10-minute window. They noticed the stairwell shadow. They noticed the cash withdrawal. On November 16 at 9:12 a.m., divers searched a retention pond 2 miles from the building, a location tied to Ives' phone pings. At 11:38 a.m., they found Alina's phone submerged in 6 feet of water. It was wrapped in plastic but not sealed. The SIM card was intact. The phone had recorded no activity after 10:41 p.m. On November 17 at 3:27 p.m., a hunter found a body in a wooded area near Route 19, 30 minutes from Westfield. The clothing matched Alina's. The medical examiner pronounced her dead at 4:06 p.m. The cause was asphyxia. The time of death was estimated between 10:42 and 10:45 p.m. on November 14. The evidence accumulated. Fibers from the nylon strap were found on Alina's coat. The same fibers were found in Ives' van. Soil from the wooded area was present on the van's tires. The prepaid phone records showed calls to a vendor contact involved in the overbilling scheme. Ives was arrested on November 20th at 6:15 a.m. outside his home. He did not resist. In the interview room, he denied involvement for 2 hours. Then he asked for water. Then he asked what the audit would have found. The trial began on May 7, 2019. The prosecution presented a clean timeline. They played the lobby footage again and again. They froze the frame at 10:42:19. They showed the blind spot. They showed the stairwell shadow. They explained the billing scheme. They explained the panic. They explained the choice. The defense argued coincidence. They argued reasonable doubt. They argued the cameras were unreliable. The jury deliberated for 9 hours. On May 24, 2019, Thomas Ives was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Alina Mercer did not reach her door because someone else reached a decision first. The cameras did not save her. They only told the truth later. The warning is simple and persistent. Ordinary routines are not shields. Access is power. Small crimes can grow into irreversible acts. The gap between arrival and safety can be measured in seconds.